One of the things that, you know, first and foremost, we've seen photos and videos of Alex Oxlade-Chamberlain. I'll start with you, James, coming back into training this week. He obviously went away to Marbella. He's on his Instagram stories, going back, getting back with the lads and all that type of stuff. It's quality, isn't it?
Yeah, made up. I'm so happy he's coming back. I think he's been a big miss this season. I think we could have done with him in a lot of games. We could certainly do with him now with the games coming up. So I'm really happy that he's going to come back. Hopefully he can get a few games towards the end of the season as well, because I think that's important going into next season. I think he needs to get a few games under his belt and, you know, start building his confidence back up, because he was doing really well for us last season. I was devastated when he got injured, honestly. Like, I nearly cried for him. I was honestly heartbroken.
That devastated?
Yeah, I was genuinely, because he was in form. And, you know, we didn't know what he was going to be like when he joined the club, but he was boss. And, you know, I hope when he comes back, he can show some of the same form as well.
That's it. I think, you know, James is right there, Sam, isn't he? I think, you know, you look at Alex Oxlade-Chamberlain, the form that he was in last season before that horrific injury that's kept him out, you know, best part of a year. And it's not just his on the field stuff though as well. Off the field, he seems like one of the good guys. Like, the squad have actually kind of missed him and stuff as well, don't they?
Yeah. Henderson was saying, wasn't he, this week, that it's been a big boost having him around. I think that's just a testament to the character, and you've seen from pretty much the get-go, Klopp's always seemed to have had a lot of time for him. He comes across well with the fans, with the other players, the younger players. Look at his relationship with Brewster. I think it's a real sort of boost for them, and from a competitive point of view as well, I think it's really important that the likes of Shaqiri, even Firmino in certain respects when he's dropping deep, and Keita, etc., they're getting pushed just that little bit more to get that extra level that we maybe saw from Shaqiri before Christmas, because they've got Ox back now. The guy who pushed Liverpool to the Champions League semi-final, played home and away against City, big part of that team. And actually we lost 2 games after he was out of that midfield in the Champions League. So there's a big sort of, you know, positive energy coming from the squad when he's back.
That's it. I mean, how many times, you know, you'll have had, you won't be, you're not in here every week, but I'll tell you, you know, he's almost mentioned every single week, and I'm sure that, you know, it's not just in this Redmen TV studio. When you're talking to your mates or you're talking to your mates, you probably mention him just as often as we are, because every single time you're like, we could have done with someone like an Alex Oxlade-Chamberlain. I'm almost bored of hearing myself say it, to be honest with you, but we say it so often because it's fucking true. Yeah. You know, we've missed those driving runs from midfield.
Yeah, what an option he could be when he comes back, you know, just to come in, give that attack an option. He honestly, he did everything right, everything that we expected from him, he did, and more. You know, he was such a threat going forward. He really did get it. Once he got the ball, he was able to drive us forward, and no one could really get it. It was like having a winger in the middle. And that's basically what he is. He is a winger in the middle, and he done that well. He passed the ball well, and he got it to the front three, and he just did everything right. And when he comes back, it's genuinely going to be like a new signing, I think, anyway, because we're going to have that boss player back.
I think, Sam, you know, you've done coaching and stuff like that over the time, and I think, you know, football's changed quite a lot over the last sort of 10, 15 years, hasn't it? I think, you know, there are sides now in the English division who like to play pressing football. We've seen a lot more of that, and sometimes that quick transitional player is how you break through that press, isn't it? So we've missed that this season. We're starting to see it a little bit from Naby Keita, but for the most part, we've been quite industrious, quite slow, and thoughtful in our build-up play. Alex gives us that something different, doesn't he?
Yeah, he's definitely. When you look at Keita, you're just saying there, I think he's got the little bit of pace, he's got the skill, but he hasn't got the core strength that Oxlade-Chamberlain's got. And I'd probably say Ox is quicker as well. Would you agree on that? Especially off the mark. Yeah, that power and pace. I mean, you think of it from this point of view is, if he gets himself fully fit with, say, 6 games to go, even if that includes Champions League as well, fully fit, ready to start games, we're suddenly a different proposition to teams, because, all right, we've got a solid defence, good, solid, sort of balanced midfield, and then the front three that don't need any words. But now you've got Ox coming in, that extra power, pace, bursting through midfield, going beyond. I mean, I hate to talk about them, but look at what Lingard's been doing for Man U since they've changed. He's got that pace, not as much power, but he bursts through, he causes chaos, and that is exactly what, fingers crossed, Ox can do in April for us in them big games that are going to be in that month.
And listen, you know, I was away at Burnley last season, I think it was New Year's Day and stuff like that, and Perry Edwards was in the away stand. I saw her. Cheered me up no end, you know what I mean? Like, so there's all that to do for the fan base as well, isn't there? Like, you know what I mean? Those videos of her loving life, loving Liverpool fans, loving getting involved and stuff like that. But ultimately, he's a difference maker. And, you know, let's just talk about the Brewster stuff. You mentioned it just before, Sam, so I'll come back to you. I think he is taken on a leadership role with Brewster in some ways. He's obviously accompanied him on his journey back from injury. And Brewster will be looking at Alex Oxlade-Chamberlain like Brewster's the Padawan and he's the Jedi Master almost. And there'll be something there, and that could help Brewster get into this squad, couldn't it?
Defo, because as well, think about it. When you're a young player and you come into the squad, it's great that you got your Hendersons and your Milner who are guaranteed, Van Dijk's guaranteed starts as the leaders going, come here. When you're looking around that team thinking, hang on, Sturridge, I'm trying to take your position. You're not going to be liked well. You're going to be liked, but you're not going to be like Bezzy Mata by the people that you're blatantly trying to break through and take their position. Having Oxlade-Chamberlain as an ally, who's a very popular member of the team, an England international, expensive, big money player who's got a big job on our team, having him on your side, always next year, that must give you so much more of a boost to push on in training, because you know that you've got someone who'll give you that bit of advice, got your back, other than the natural leaders that give it to everybody. I think that's really important, and I'm looking them names I just mentioned there, like Sturridge, and I mean, he needs to watch out, because this young lad who's got all the talent in the world, fingers crossed for me anyway, comes in and shifts him out the way and says, I'm that second forward in the side.
How, James, you've gone to school much more recently than me and Sam, and I bet you're wondering where the hell this is going. But when I saw those Instagram stories of Ox, and no one was really talking to him, it looked like he was the new kid at school again and stuff, and do you think it'll be easy for him to go back in there and just sort of lop his cock on the table and go, remember me, boys?
Yeah, listen, he's a character, he's got the fittest birds in the squad, so, he's sound.
Don't know if you've seen Fabinho's lad, she's pretty tardy, like.
You know what I mean, footballers, they've all got proper fit birds, but, you're on it, it is what it is, like, but, I think it's important, and I think Ox also had a boost from having Ryan Brewster there. I think, he wants to be that role model, he wants to be the leader. So, that's going to push him to make sure he can get back fit, and he's putting in the work as well. I think they pushed each other during that process. Coming back won't be a problem. Like you said, all the players, they love him there, do you know what I mean? He's fit right into the team, he gets along with everyone. He would have already had mates there before he joined Liverpool, so I think he'll be fine settling back in, to be honest. He's a true character. So
when can we expect him to legitimately come in and figure this season? I mean, if he's back in training now, what are we talking? Back end of February, 21st of February as we're filming it today. What are you thinking? I mean, 6 to 8 weeks before we see him on the subs bench?
It depends. It depends, doesn't it? Because you would imagine if everybody's fit, and for instance, the likes of Lallana, who Klopp clearly has time for, if they stay fit now, if we get quite lucky and have 4 weeks so we don't pick up big injuries, it might be a little bit more difficult for him. But when's the international break? I can't remember when it is.
Is it back in the March?
That's because I was thinking after that is when the run-in begins, doesn't it?
Yeah.
So I'm thinking Klopp's probably got his timescales, and I wouldn't be surprised if Ox is available for some form of selection after the international space. What, another 4 weeks basically, isn't it? Another 4 or 5 weeks.
So what are you thinking, like 4 or 5 games coming off the bench?
Coming 10, off the bench,
15?
Yeah. And then if we have, this is stupidly hypothetical, but if we have a game where we go away in Europe, say we come through by and go away in Europe, batter Porto 5-0 again, and then get them, you might see him start that game, so to speak. But given the situation we're in, would you agree, it's very difficult to see him being gambled into a game at the start. It's going to be slow, isn't it?
I think that's the thing, and I talk about it quite often over the years about how when Kenny first came back and came into that job, he was giving youth a chance and he was playing with that little bit of freedom and he was able to do that. Once he had the job himself, there's a lot more pressure, and I think Klopp's going through that in that back end of the season. Every point's going to matter. It's going to be harder to roll the dice on players, isn't it? And that I agree with you on the Oxlade-Chamberlain stuff, because you just might think to yourself, Lana's had a lot more minutes, and Lana's had a lot of minutes, like
exactly,
there are players there, Divock Origi, Daniel Sturridge, Shaqiri, they're going to be the ones that he probably looks to first. And I think if Alex is going to get any minutes between, let's say, 4 weeks' time and 8 weeks' time, it is going to be when Liverpool are maybe 2-0 up in games and looking to rest one of the other lads. But one thing that Alex Oxlade-Chamberlain, I think, really encouraged with is that Liverpool have moved back to the 4-3-3, James.
Yeah.
Because I don't know where he fit in that 4-2-3-1, if I'm honest with you. Could we have possibly seen a scenario where Alex is playing the 10?
Possibly,
maybe. That seems to be the only place.
Because we certainly could have, he can play a lot of roles, but I think the 4-3-3 is much more suited for him. I think, with how he was playing in that formation last season, I think that would be much better for him. He can attack, he can, drop back and help the defence. he's a threat either way. So I think it's important that we have him back in the team. I think it's good that we've got this system back, but I certainly wouldn't want to rush him in. I think that'd be stupid, you know, especially because he's not going to be back for another, you know, 6 to 8 weeks or whatever it is. I think it's important to not rush him back, just slowly ease him in there. But I think Jurgen is quite good with that. I think one thing that Jurgen's done compared to other managers, he's good at slowly getting players back into the sides and slowly getting them back into form, and not just putting them out there because he feel he needs them. Oxlade, like you, I agree with you when you say he'll probably come in for the games that will probably win like 2-0, but that'll be good though, because he'll be able to just ease in and, you know, we'll be able to train, and then for the beginning of next season we'll have the player, hopefully anyway, we'll have the player that we had last season, and like
Absolutely.
I said before, it'll be just like a new side.
Well, there you go. Let us know in the comment section what you think of that. If you're happy with Alex Oxlade-Chamberlain coming back in, we're going to continue the rest of the show now over on the website, where we'll be talking Paul Glatzel, Adam Lewis, Liverpool's interest in Jadon Sancho from a little while ago, the 20s plenty support for Bayern Munich as well, and we'll be looking in depth at VAR. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you over on the redmentv.com.